Goodness. Let's get into the combat. So first things first. Bloody Valentine, Halloween Jack are kind of here, looking down the barrel of fighting the three Kevans: Kev, Alkesha, and Katie. We will have to first think about how it is that this combat begins. We know that Bloody Valentine is a guy who likes to fight a lot of people, and we also know that Halloween Jack is somebody that likes guerrilla warfare. We know that Kev Kavan is a guy who likes to enforce the law, so is Alkesha to some extent, and Katie is someone who likes to play the odds. So if all these people start out on equal footing, how do we determine the role order? Well, it's usually going to be the character who is the most, we'll say, reckless versus one, yeah, pretty much reckless. So for the purposes of this combat, there are two characters that are extremely reckless. There's one behind them that is sort of reckless, but more like ideologically driven. And then there's one in the back who is extremely careful and calculated. So we look on either side respectively. Let's draw a line here. There we go. The line is here. That means that the order looks like this, with each side facing each other more like a mirror and everything. It's Bloody Valentine and Alkesha first. So one of them first, and then Kev, and then Halloween Jack, one of them second, or after the first pair have gone, and then Katie at the end. Katie's going to be the last one to act. So if we want to do this like in a very kind of, we want to do this in mechanical fashion, the way that we would do this first is we would have them roll against one another. We could do that if we wanted to really have like, to see which one of them is the quicker draw. We could say that. So let's say that they are staring each other down, getting ready to, you know what? No. My Alkesha music. So let's say that they're staring each other down and they're going to have like a Wild West shootout. Then what we would do is we would roll speed against one another. Just real quick. So Alkesha gets a 1. Bloody Valentine gets a 2. That's it. Bloody Valentine wins. I could have Alkesha invoke if I wanted, and I maybe should. You know what? I'm going to actually. I'm going to have her invoke that she is... No, I'm not going to have her invoke. Fuck it. Bloody Valentine runs first. So Bloody Valentine is a quicker draw. He gets his metal ring out quick, more just faster. These opponents are also mirrored in the fact that Alkesha and Bloody Valentine can both hit multiple targets at the same time. So what he's going to do is he's going to roll spin now. He can only hit one target with the spin, and it's going to be a 1. So he tosses out his ring, meant to disarm one of Alkesha's guns. Alkesha is going to use her own speed roll to see if she can avoid that. She can't. She's going to invoke sicko mode because she's drunk to +1 and just negate that. So she's going to drunkenly fall out of the way as the ring tries to just clip by her and shear one of her guns in half. And then she's going to pretend like she did that on purpose and talk shit. Next up is Halloween Jack versus Kev. So same thing. I'm gonna do basically the same thing except for these purposes. Kev does not have stand approaches, so we're gonna see how this goes. 5 versus we're gonna use his pursue in place of speed. So once again, Halloween Jack goes first. By the way, if we really wanted to, we could start also an initiative tracker. So Marisol, if you click on the little, you notice at the top there is a little fist icon. We can put the initial value of Bloody Valentine. So just to show you guys how this works, I've considered using it. Let's just re-roll initiative. Fuck it. How do you even roll? I don't even know how you roll initiative with Fate. It doesn't matter. If I just click on each one, I can set their initiative values to be however high I want it to be. So just real quick, I will show you guys. I believe this is how it's done. Yeah, there we go. So Alkesha will be at a 4. Kev is going to be at a 2. Jack is going to be at a 3. And then Katie's going to be at a 1. So she's at the bottom. This is how it goes, basically. Like, we can see that there's a roll order, or a turn order. And normally, when we would do this, there would be like a button to press, like next turn or whatever. You would do this with like 5e. With Fate, it's not as important, but it's also sometimes good to have like your order kind of like written out so nobody gets skipped. I may do this more often just to make sure that that sort of to make sure that that gets tracked, because I know sometimes in combat it can be difficult for you guys to remember where you were in turn, or you may be worried about getting skipped. So if we use the combat tracker, we can go down to Katie or Alkesha rather. Just get back to it, I guess. Actually, I skipped Alkesha's turn, so I'm gonna. And this is exactly why I had to look at this is why I wanted to look at the combat tracker. It's gonna be more important in a second too. So, because I'm not gonna skip Alkesha's turn in combat, she's going to take a turn against these two by just firing off a ricochet shot. Because she has Katie Kevans near her, she can bounce and hit 2 targets. Let's see if she can do it. Oof, for 7. Let's see if they can deal with that. Yikes. Bloody Valentine just tries to just take it, more or less. Just durability against it. He can't. Halloween Jack does really fucking good, though. He only takes 1 shift of physical damage. Bloody Valentine's going to blow one of his fate points to reroll his durability. Really not great, buddy. That's okay. So he's going to take 5. He's going to take a physical stress and 1 mild consequence laser burned as he attempts to get out of the way, but can't. Or just buffer it, just tank it. You can't. Halloween Jack is able to, though, because he is a tough son of a bitch. Next up is, on the turn order, is Halloween Jack, who is going to begin to freak out and use his nightmare approach to just directly assault and horrify Alkesha. He's going to just roll pretty hard, actually. So he's going to use a 6, and he's going to buff that with 2 fate point invokes. He's going to take 1 mental stress shift. He's going to invoke that he is a war criminal and that he is a heavily scarred war veteran by slightly lowering his mask and summoning out deep down trauma hounds. Just as Alkesha, who is drunk and kind of like having a good time, cheerful about how much damage she's done, he's just going to slightly lower his mask to reveal his very heavily fucked up face and his like weird eye behind it, just glowing, staring at her as this rattly, really creepy, macabre skeleton man with a halo of sludge and bullet shoulders, rifle round shoulders, just rattles at her very quickly and begins to just pound at her with machine gun sound effects on his like punches to quickly like hammer in some damage. And you know what, actually he's gonna blow every fate point. No, he's not gonna blow every fate point. He's just gonna do the 2 to try and get her down. So that's gonna make his roll a 4 against her. We're gonna say durability. Ooh, God. I'm gonna have her invoke because that's really bad. She's gonna invoke the reroll. She's gonna invoke her Peacemaker. Yeah, her experience as a Peacemaker. Better. My God, that would have been very bad. She's gonna take 4, and she is let's say she's got flesh wounds from just the punches, because every punch from Halloween Jack kind of has the same force or memory of like a rifle round. It's not quite the same, but once it starts doing damage, it'll pierce flesh, and yeah, he's a scary guy. So she has flesh wounds, and she is banged up pretty bad. That's Halloween Jack's turn. Kev, seeing his little girl get hurt, is going to freak the fuck out and point at Halloween Jack and declare him a dead man as he clashes with him. We'll see what happens here. So he's gonna clash with Halloween Jack, spending a fate point to do so. Down to 1. 6, 2, and 4. Halloween Jack is going to roll 6, 5, and a 5. So because Kev Kevans comes in and is so frenzied, he thinks that he's going to crush Halloween Jack, who looks very off balanced. But Halloween Jack uses that misperception. He's been in war. He's been in more wars than Kev has, and he knows that striking the daughter is going to get the father's anger up to tackles, leading him to make rash decisions, causing chaos. This allows Halloween Jack to blow his fist right through part of Kevan's abdomen, leading him to have a giant, gaping wound, gaping abdominal wound, as Kevan's hubris has led him to put himself in a very bad position. Halloween Jack now has 2 fate points because he spent 2 of them, but he just got 1 back from winning a clash. That is the end of Kevan's turn. Katie Kevan now needs to begin working hard to figure out exactly what she's going to do to save her family. They are both acting very reckless, and she needs to figure this out quickly. So she's going to begin playing gambler here to create rolling advantages. So because she's paired with Alkesha, and because she is paired with Kevan, she gains a +2 to her roll to create advantages. So she's going to use gambler to do that. So she has a 4 to that, and that passes a passive difficulty. Honestly, she's looking for advantages that she can give to Kev specifically. So she's creating one for Kev, a rolling set of advantages. That means that on his turn he'll have a +2, and on the turn after that he'll have a +2. And that's the end. That's the end of the round. That's the first round. Back to Bloody Valentine. He sees that Kevan has been hurt. He himself has been hurt. He's been laser burned. So he's going to use his I Want Your Skull against Kevan, the biggest threat here. So he's going to roll Regal against them with a 1. Kevan just needs to roll, we'll say Pursue. Okay, so because Bloody Valentine tries to figure out a way to market the hatred towards Kevan, he wants to try to focus all the hatred that he can of his allied forces on Kev, but it can't quite work because as he's trying to figure out a way to come up with like a big speech, he just sees Kev rushing towards him, screaming with a bloody stomach wound, and Bloody Valentine starts screaming. They're both just screaming at each other in a panic. Bloody Valentine kind of loses his cool there. He can't quite make it. Next turn is going to be Alkesha. She is going to try to, now that she sees Bloody Valentine is off his kind of like rocker, with that, she's going to try to invoke Work It against him, with invoking his laser burned. We'll see if she can. So with a 4, Bloody Valentine is going to roll his durability. The 6. So she can't use Work It seems. Oh, never mind. It's a passive opposition thing. So no, he doesn't roll actually against that. He gets she just gets a 4. And so with that, as you know, Work It is a timer. Okay, never mind. Actually, she doesn't land it. I just reread the stunt. She doesn't land it. She doesn't have any more fate points to invoke, so she's out of fate points. She could compel herself at this point if she wanted. Sometimes compels, I think I've mentioned before, I try to let them be done outside of just like your round in combat, so you don't have to always like focus on like, the compulsion. But I'm going to say that she is being compelled right now because seeing that her attack failed, she can't summon the party bus monkey twice, the party bus. She's going to look around at the fire and the other cars in the parking lot and then begin to formulate a plan based on both her own understanding of ricochets and Katie's kind of calculating odds scenario thing. So that will give her back 1 fate point, which she may use next round. Next up is Halloween Jack, who's going to see that he laid on a pretty bad consequence on the Kevan, and he's just going to strike again against Kev's drift. So it's a 4, and he's going to, well, let's see if he needs to. Oh Jesus, yeah, he's going to invoke Kev's wound against him, his gaping abdominal wound. And then, yeah, he's just going to leave it at that. So as he was coming in to make a counterattack against Kev, thinking that he had the advantage with Kev's very, very serious wound, you know what I'm going to have, actually, instead of it being a +2, I'm going to just let him re-roll Nightmare and see how he does. 6, it's whatever. Yeah, so he comes in to thinking he's going to take advantage of Kev's wound. Doesn't work out for him. Kev is actually expecting him based on the distance that he's gained from Drift and now the distance that he has because he's made his approach against Bloody Valentine. Kev is able to very easily parry Halloween Jack's next incoming stand punch from deep down Trauma Hounds. He just throws up a block and then continues moving in a straight line. That is the nature of Drift. Kevans, now that he's inside of kind of the, I'll say the guard, and he specifically knows that if he takes out the president, it's going to be a big deal. He just makes an attack against President Valentine to try and drag him as well as just fuck him up generally. So he's going to drift yank Halloween Jack, or attempt to, by the throat. With the 6, he has a +2 from Kitty Kevans' rolling advantages. Let's see if Bloody Valentine can get himself out of this little bit of a predicament. We're gonna give him a spin roll. He sure can't. He is going to take an incredible amount of damage. We'll say, let's see, he's gonna take 3. Yeah, okay. So he's gonna take 7. So he has a moderate condition dragged across concrete as Kevans basically yanks him by the throat and pulls him forward and begins to drag him across the floor, face down towards himself, preparing for a final strike. Kitty Kevans is going to use her wheel and deal. No, we're going to say gambler to reduce how accurate. Let's see. She's going to try to reduce how accurate the enemy is against her sister, giving her sister rolling advantages. She's going to invoke once. She's going to invoke her manual labor is for chumps. Because she doesn't want to do the work. She wants their family to do the work, allowing her to pass the passive opposition to create those advantages. Now, Alkesha has rolling advantages too. So, next round. Bloody Valentine tries to push himself up off of the ground. He is getting pissed off, so he is going to dump fate points hard here as he tries to attack all of them. The 1. He can only hit one of them. No, he's gonna use his fate point. He's gonna use one of his fate points to reroll. He's going to invoke his King of the Earth because he just can't. It's even worse. Well, just let it go, buddy. He can only hit one person. It's gonna be a 0. What a shame. He tries to throw his wheel, but he is too fucked up. He's just been dragged across concrete. There's really not much he can do. He just kind of lays down, and he basically at this point, he's just gonna concede. He's just gonna call out timeout. Halloween Jack about to attack. Alkesha about to fire both pistols down into Bloody Valentine, and everyone else ready to fight. They all halt when he says timeout. I've had to fight a lot of people. I've been in a lot of wars. But right now, having my face dragged across this parking lot floor, I see that there's just so much more to the world than I could have possibly imagined. For example, if you look at the blood that I left on the floor here, it looks like a child's finger painting. Doesn't that make you think of innocence and life? Of love? It's just a shame that we're enemies, the moon and the earth. It's a damn shame indeed. What's more of a shame is that while we've been talking and I've been distracting everyone, I've been pressing very, very quickly this button that I've got underneath my jacket that's summoning all of the 7 Nation forces to this exact location so that we can kick your ass and the asses of everyone on the moon. Because nobody, and he looks up with a face covered in blood, nobody drags Bloody Valentine across a goddamn parking lot floor. Say your prayers, Moon Man. And that is where we'll pick up after a quick break, as it seems an all-out war is going to begin. Hearing this happen, Kevans shakes off his injuries, gets his 2 daughters, and begins to call on his comms every peacemaker he can in the city, every sheriff and arch sheriff, there is about to be a complete fucking melee. The Watt Forces teams, all of them. He needs all of them here right now. Even Lewis's fucking robots. We'll get back to that in a second. Quick commercial break.